The Baroque period was a time of great cultural advancements, especially within the realm of music and the arts. Musicians like Johann Sebastian Bach and George Frideric Handel were at the height of their careers, creating masterpieces that would forever change the world. However, amidst these giants, Christian Petzold is a name often overshadowed. Though he held many prestigious positions throughout his career, writing compositions that were played and heard on a daily basis throughout the city where he worked, as we will soon find out, it was only thanks to a 250-year misunderstanding that his music, one piece in particular, has resonated through the centuries. As with many of the details of his life, the exact date of Christian Petzold's birth is currently unknown. It is believed, however, that he was born sometime in the year 1677, likely in the region of Saxony, Germany. This was during a time of great artistic and musical transformation in Europe. Growing up in this environment, Petzold would have been exposed to the emerging musical innovations of the late 17th century. And though not much is known about his family history and early life, like many notable composers, he may have shown an aptitude for music from an early age. Seeing how church music played a crucial role in education during this time, Christian Petzold likely received his early training in one of Saxony's well-established Lutheran churches, where rigorous instruction in counterpoint, harmony, and keyboard technique was standard. And though information regarding his later formal education also remains somewhat obscure, it is safe to assume that it would have included mastery of various keyboard instruments as well as theory and composition, with a strong emphasis on works of predecessors like Johann Pachelbel and Johann Jakob Froberg. By the early 1700s, Christian Petzold had established himself as a talented musician, gaining recognition for his skill at the keyboard. His most notable appointment came in 1703 when he became the organist at the Sophienkirche, known also as the Church of St. Sophia in Dresden, a prestigious post that placed him among the most respected musicians of his time. Dresden was a vibrant center of music during the Baroque period, attracting musicians from all across Europe. Petzold, being at the heart of this thriving scene, played a key role in shaping its musical landscape. In 1709, he was appointed as court organist at the Dresden court of Augustus II the Strong, one of the most powerful rulers in Europe at that time. In this position, Petzold would have been responsible for composing liturgical and secular music, training choir boys, and performing at royal events. His role as organist also placed him in contact with influential composers of the time, including Johann Sebastian Bach, who admired Dresden's vibrant musical life. Unfortunately, many of Christian Petzold's compositions are currently considered to be lost. Today, his most famous surviving works are his minuets in G major and G minor. However, for centuries, these pieces were mistakenly attributed to Johann Sebastian Bach. The reason for this confusion was mainly due to the fact that these two minuets were included in the notebook for Anna Magdalena Bach, a collection of music that Johann Sebastian compiled for his wife around 1725. This notebook contained pieces by Bach himself, but also works by other composers, some of whom were not credited. Since the minuets appeared in this collection without any composer attribution, it was long assumed that they were composed by Bach. However, they are structurally simpler compared to Bach's keyboard music, which often features more intricate counterpoint and harmonic complexity. Also, the melodic phrasing and harmonic progressions resemble the style of German courtly dance music, which was prominent in Dresden at the time, a city where Petzold was active. But the biggest indicator that these minuets were by Petzold rather than Bach came when musicologists discovered copies in other 18th century collections where Petzold was explicitly named as the composer. While absolute certainty in historical music attribution can be difficult, the discovery of these collections strongly supports Christian Petzold as the true composer. This reattribution is currently reflected in modern editions of the notebook for Anna Magdalena Bach, where Petzold is now credited. But considering the level of ambiguity surrounding many of the details of his life, if not for this 250-year misunderstanding where Bach was mistakenly given credit for Petzold's work, would we even know of Christian Petzold's name at all? Christian Petzold passed away in 1733 in Dresden around the age of 56. However, unlike many of his contemporaries whose deaths were well documented, it's not surprising to learn that very little has been recorded regarding Petzold's final days. One theory suggests that he may have fallen victim to an epidemic that affected Dresden in the early 1730s. Given his position at the court and in the church, he would have been in close contact with many people, making exposure to contagious illnesses a real possibility. Another theory proposes that his death was sudden and unexpected, seeing how some records indicate that he was still active as an organist in 1733, with no prior signs of deteriorating health. This has led some to speculate that he may have died from an accident or possibly an acute medical condition, such as a stroke. Adding to the mystery, no known grave or burial record has been found, an unusual absence for a musician of his stature. There are also no surviving first-hand eulogies or tributes from his peers, further deepening the questions. After his passing, Petzold's contributions were largely overshadowed by his more famous contemporaries. Though much of his life remains a mystery, Christian Petzold's compositions, particularly his minuets in G major and G minor, now correctly credited to their true composer, ensure that his name endures in the world of Baroque music.